Bad ideas, everybody. And today we're going to talk about something that doesn't have to do with scripts or film. Today we're going to talk about writing and my love of writing. I just watched the movie Look Back, and it has to do with that question: why do you write? Why do we all write? And that's what I want to answer today, as well as my reinvigoration towards that medium. So I guess we could go back when I was younger, and I was 14 years old, and there was just this itch to write. I'm bringing back to when I bought myself my first comprehension book, and I still have it to this day. And I would write all the stories that my little brain could muster up at the time. I think I wrote like 10 stories, maybe 10 to 14 stories, short stories. And at the time, it was such an achievement to be able to write more than one page. Like, I would get so much gratification from being able to write 5 pages, which is mind blowing now that I'm reading scripts up to 100 pages. And there's always this collision between. Well, I'm gonna add some context. I've also been fighting amateur and professional MMA since I was 17 years old. So there's 3-year difference from when I was writing to fighting. Both those have been fighting for my attention since I was 17 years old. There'd be times where I would write and I have great success writing, and there would be times where I'll do nothing but fight and I'll do nothing but train, and I would give really little attention towards writing. And now that and at the time when I was younger, it didn't really matter to me because it seemed like I had all the time in the world. Where now that I'm older, it feels like I'm running out of time, and I need to put my attention solely on one thing, because if I write more, then my fighting decreases, right? And if I fight more, if I train more hours, then my writing decreases. And it feels like at times I can't juggle both. So instead of dealing with these internal struggles, I want to take a look back at why I even started to write in the first place. Because at this point in my life, writing is going to take more of a prominent role in my life than it ever has, because I can stop fighting anytime I want. That's something that's only for now, right? Where my life is gonna go on once I'm done with fighting. And writing, I can just go on forever, right? They even say the older you get, the better you get at writing. And I know if I take a lot of shots to the head, that's not gonna be possible. The first time I remember I found like a true love for writing was I was in 10th grade in Miss Samarusti's class. She said it was Thanksgiving break, winter break, and the day before winter break, she said something about extra credit. She gave us a bunch of options towards that. One of the options was writing a 10-page story, creative writing. And I think this is the first time I've ever been introduced to creative writing in the class setting and be able to get some grades for it. I do a little story about the Roman Empire, about a guy who goes crazy becoming a tyrant. And that was the story. It took up 10 pages. It was inspired by Julius Caesar, and I remember I just loved the history of the Roman Empire, the Greeks, and just people going crazy. To this day, I still write about that motive and that theme. It took me 2 weeks. I did a bunch of research, and I finished it, and I gave it to her, and I loved it. I loved the finished product. And so she took it, and then she ended up reading it, and she told me that she loved it, and she hopes that I would let her keep it so she could show the other classmates what like a great example of creative writing is. And that little sentence touched me to my heart and really changed who I was as a person, because since that day I've been writing and I haven't stopped. And it just reminds me that why I write in the first place, and it was never for other people, because I do love the idea that other people get to read it and they get to love it as much as I love my own story. But I remember a couple years after I gave it to her, I went back to that class, to that teacher, and I took it back and I kept it, and I still have it to this day. I'll find it. I'll put it up on the screen right now. And then I remember I just started thinking about a little more in depth why I love writing. There's this fire that burns within me that wants me to jot down these words and tell these stories. I can't help it. I don't feel right. I don't feel good about myself unless I do it. And that's why I started writing in the first place. This need, this itch I just can't scratch until it's written into the, it's become something. And I remember this became more when I realized that I wanted to become a movie director. I want to write screenplays because I love short stories, I love poems, and I love books and stuff like that. But I want to see what I wrote on the big screen or the small screen. I just love the idea of being able to make something and then have it tangible, have it, you could grasp it, it could be in your palms. There's a beauty within that, and you get to share it with your family. I've made a couple of short movies, and the euphoric feeling you get when it's done and you get to share it with your people, there's nothing like that ever that can match that feeling. The first movie I ever made was called Terry's Christmas Trees, and it was about a dude who named Terry, and he sells Christmas trees, and it's like a mockumentary. It's like Modern Family. And it took me around 3 months to finish. It took me longer actually, but I was very perseverant on finishing this product because I put so much time into it, and it was like a genuine love for filmmaking that if you were to watch it, I think shows, because it has this youthful energy towards it that I still have to this day, but it's really evident in that first film that I made. And I made another one called The Penguin Come Along. A Penguin Came Along, which is just like a love story with an imaginary penguin. And then my latest one called Flaming Trees, which is just an adaptation of it's an adaptation / inspiration from a book called The Vegetarian that I love, about a girl who goes vegetarian and her life around her collapses. As I get older, my ideas mature a little more, and you could tell my love for writing on the screen. Good sometimes to look back and realize how much you've grown as a person. And I get to look when I was 18 years old, make Terry's Christmas Tree. When I was 20, making Penguin Came Along. When I was 21 or 22, making Flaming Trees. And then now I'm making a short series now, and 25, and I get to look at that when that's all said and done with all my family. I get to watch us all grow. So when we're like old and stuff, we get to watch that movie that I just watched. It's called Look Back, and how that movie was just great. I really recommend everyone watch it. It's on Prime, and I'm not sponsored by it or anything. I wish I was, but it really made me think why I started writing and where my love comes from, where my love of writing comes from, and everything in between. Thank y'all for listening. I don't know what else to say other than I hope you like this new setting I'm gonna try out. I'm gonna try to make now that I have a better mic, I'm gonna try to make videos in random places more than just my room. I feel like when I'm in a room I feel very claustrophobic sometimes, so I want to make videos outside. So we'll see where I shoot next and where this takes us. Yeah, goodbye y'all.